What if I told you this was never supposed to be a normal court hearing? Because the moment Tommaso Cioni stepped inside that courtroom, something shifted, and not in a way anyone was prepared for. No loud arguments. No dramatic outbursts. Just silence. A heavy, uncomfortable silence that didn't make sense until it did. And here's where it gets disturbing. According to multiple insider whispers, this case wasn't about proving guilt or innocence anymore. It wasn't even about evidence. Because just minutes into the hearing, a sealed file, one that wasn't supposed to be opened, suddenly appeared in the middle of the courtroom. No warning. No explanation. And when it was finally placed on the table, everything stopped. Lawyers who were known for staying calm under pressure, avoiding eye contact. Officials? Frozen. Even the judge hesitated for a moment longer than anyone expected. But Tommaso? He didn't react. No panic. No confusion. No denial. Just a calm, controlled expression, like someone who already knew what was coming. And that's the part no one can explain. Because whatever was inside that file didn't just shock the room. It changed everything. To understand why that courtroom moment felt so unnatural, you have to go back, months before anyone ever heard Tommaso Cioni's name trending. Because this didn't start with a scandal. It started quietly. On the surface, Tommaso Cioni was everything you would expect from someone untouchable. Clean reputation. Calculated decisions. No public controversies. The kind of figure who moved carefully, spoke rarely, and stayed just far enough away from attention to avoid it completely. People described him as controlled, precise, almost too perfect. But behind that carefully built image, something else was unfolding. And almost no one saw it coming. According to insiders, everything began with what looked like a routine private agreement. Nothing unusual. Multiple parties involved. Confidential negotiations. The kind of deal that happens behind closed doors every day without headlines or attention. Until it collapsed. And not in a normal way. Because when deals fail, there's usually noise, statements, clarifications, at least some form of explanation. But this time, there was nothing. Emails stopped. Calls went unanswered. Meetings were suddenly canceled without reason. People who were once actively involved didn't just step back. They disappeared from the conversation completely. At first, it didn't seem important. But then the silence started spreading. And that's when things began to feel off. Because in situations like this, silence doesn't mean stability. It means pressure is building somewhere no one can see. And slowly, quietly, whispers started appearing. Not official reports. Not confirmed claims. Just fragments. Anonymous posts. Vague messages. The kind that usually fade away before anyone takes them seriously. But this time, they didn't fade. Because one detail kept coming up again and again. Tommaso's name. Not directly accused. Not openly linked. But referenced just enough to raise questions. And with every passing day, those questions started getting louder. Was he involved? Or was he being pulled into something bigger? No one knew. But then something changed. Because shortly after those whispers began circulating, legal pressure started building quietly, strategically. No public announcements. No media coverage. Just movement behind the scenes. Documents being filed. Requests being made. Conversations happening where nothing is ever officially recorded. And then, without warning, the court date appeared. No build-up. No press conference. No explanation. Just a filing. Simple. Direct. Unavoidable. And that alone was enough to make people pay attention. Because cases like this don't usually move that fast. Not without a reason. Not without something pushing them forward. Within hours, speculation started spreading. Journalists picked up the story, not because they had answers, but because nothing about it felt normal. Why was this happening so quickly? Why was there so little information? And more importantly, why did it feel like something was being hidden? Even before the hearing, access to the courtroom became restricted. Security increased without explanation. Some reporters were denied entry at the last minute. And those who did get inside described the same feeling. It didn't feel like a normal legal proceeding. It felt controlled. Like something inside that room wasn't meant to be seen, at least not yet. And then came the detail that changed everything. Just hours before the hearing began, a sealed document was quietly added to the case file. No preview, no explanation, no public access. And according to some sources, not even everyone inside the courtroom knew what it contained. Now think about that. A document important enough to be sealed, but introduced late enough to avoid scrutiny. That's not routine. That's timing. And somehow, despite all that control, its existence leaked before the hearing even started. Which meant one thing. Whatever was inside that file, someone didn't want it seen. But it was about to be. The morning of the hearing didn't begin with chaos. It began with control. Everything looked exactly how it was supposed to look, security in place, officials moving with precision, legal teams arriving on schedule. On paper, this was just another high-profile courtroom appearance. Routine, structured, predictable. But the moment Tommaso Cioni walked through those doors, that illusion started to crack. Because people noticed it instantly. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't rushed. He didn't even hesitate. He walked in slowly, deliberately, like someone stepping into a moment he had already seen before. No tension in his face. No urgency in his movements. Just calm. A level of calm that didn't match the weight of what was about to happen. And that alone made people uncomfortable. Because in situations like this, calm doesn't reassure people. It raises questions. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere felt different. Not loud, not chaotic, just heavy. Conversations were shorter. Movements were more controlled. Even the legal teams, people trained to handle pressure, weren't acting like themselves. They were careful. Too careful. Some avoided eye contact. Others kept checking documents that hadn't changed. It didn't look like preparation. It looked like hesitation. Like everyone in that room knew something was coming, but no one wanted to be the first to react to it. Then the hearing began. The judge entered. Formalities were followed. Everything moved exactly according to procedure, at least on the surface. But underneath that structure, something else was building. Because the case file being reviewed that day wasn't complete. Not in the way people expected. According to multiple sources, elements had been added at the last minute, details that hadn't been disclosed beforehand. And the moment those elements were mentioned, everything shifted. Not gradually. Instantly. Observers who initially expected a routine session realized they were watching something unfold in real time. Something unpredictable. Something that wasn't supposed to happen like this. And then it happened. The moment everyone would later talk about. The judge requested the sealed file. No build-up. No warning. Just a direct instruction. For a split second, nothing moved. You could feel it, the hesitation passing through the room like a ripple. Not visible enough to point out, but strong enough to be felt. The kind of pause that only happens when people realize something is about to go wrong. The file was brought forward. Still sealed. Still unexplained. Placed directly on the table. And in that moment, the silence changed. It wasn't procedural anymore. It was heavy. Because now, every single person in that room was thinking the same thing. What's inside? Why was it hidden? And why now? When the seal was finally broken, everything stopped. No whispers. No movement. No shifting papers. Just silence. The kind that doesn't belong in a courtroom. And then, reactions. Subtle at first. A glance. A pause. A pen freezing mid-note. But it didn't stay subtle for long. Because whatever was inside that document, it wasn't expected. Not by the room. And according to some accounts, not even by everyone involved in the case. The contents weren't just procedural details. They weren't background information. They were disruptive. References. Communications. Connections that hadn't been mentioned before, and not small ones. The kind that quietly suggests this case wasn't as isolated as it seemed. The kind that changes everything without fully explaining why. That's when the first visible reaction came from Tommaso's legal team. And it wasn't calm. Documents started moving quickly. Voices dropped into urgent whispers. One attorney reportedly leaned in, speaking fast, controlled, but clearly tense. And then came the objection. Immediate. direct. A request to challenge the inclusion of that material. But here's where everything took a turn no one expected. The judge didn't dismiss it, didn't delay it, didn't remove the document. Instead, it stayed. And that single decision shifted the entire atmosphere. Because now, it wasn't just about what was inside the file. It was about the fact that it was allowed to exist in that moment, in that room, in front of everyone. Tension didn't build. It surged. People leaned forward. Others froze completely. Some avoided looking up at all. But one person didn't change. Not even slightly. Tommaso Cioni. Still calm. Still composed. Still watching. And then, he did something that made the entire situation even more unsettling. He smiled. Not nervously. Not defensively. But deliberately. Like someone watching something unfold exactly the way they expected it to. And that changed everything. Because now, the question wasn't just about the document anymore. It was about him. What did he know? And more importantly, when did he know it? But just when it felt like the situation couldn't get any more intense, something else surfaced. A detail buried inside that sealed file. A reference. Short. Indirect. But impossible to ignore. Third-party communications. Unconfirmed. Unexplained. But present. And that single line, that one implication, shifted the narrative entirely. Because this wasn't just about one person anymore. It hinted at something wider. Something connected. Something that hadn't been revealed until now. And, in that exact moment, the case stopped being controlled and started becoming something else entirely. The moment that line about third-party communication surfaced, the situation didn't just intensify. It detonated. Because within minutes, what was supposed to stay inside that courtroom didn't. It leaked. Fast. Uncontrolled. Like someone had been waiting for the exact moment to release it. Outside the courthouse, reporters who had been struggling to get answers suddenly started receiving fragments, anonymous tips, blurred screenshots, short messages that didn't explain everything, but revealed just enough to create chaos. And online? It exploded. Threads started appearing out of nowhere. This was never just about Tommaso. Check the timestamp. This was added last minute. Why are there multiple versions of the same file? No confirmation. No official statements. But the timing was too perfect to ignore. Because just as those posts began circulating, something else happened inside the courtroom. Phones started lighting up. Not loudly. Not all at once. But enough. Enough for people to notice. Lawyers glancing down mid-conversation. Staff exchanging quick looks. Even officials, people trained to remain composed, checking their screens like something urgent had just reached them. And that's when the atmosphere changed again. Because now it wasn't just about what was inside the sealed document. It was about what was happening outside of it, at the exact same time. Then came the second twist. A message, brief, unverified, but explosive, started spreading across multiple platforms. It claimed that the sealed file presented in court wasn't the original. According to the leak, parts of the document had been altered shortly before submission. Not edited. Altered. And if that was even partially true, it meant something far more serious than hidden information. It meant manipulation. Inside the courtroom, the shift was immediate. Voices that had been controlled became sharper. Legal teams demanded clarification. The calm, structured tone of the hearing began to crack under pressure. The judge called for a recess. Longer this time. More serious. Security increased without explanation. Doors closed faster. Movements became tighter. And suddenly, what had started as a hearing no longer felt like one. It felt like containment. Like something had gone wrong, and now everyone was trying to stop it from getting worse. But it already had. Because outside, the narrative had changed again. Now people weren't asking what was hidden. They were asking what had been changed. And right in the center of it all, Tommaso Cioni still hadn't said a single word. Not during the reveal. Not during the leak. Not during the chaos. Nothing. And somehow, that silence became louder than everything else. By the time the courtroom went into recess, the story was no longer contained. It had taken over everything. Within minutes, Social media platforms were flooded. Hashtags began trending globally. Clips from inside the courtroom, short, blurry, incomplete, were being replayed again and again, like people were trying to decode something hidden between the frames. And the reactions? They were divided. Violently divided. One side was convinced this was exposure, proof that something much bigger had been hidden for months, maybe longer. Posts started circulating with captions like, "This was set up. He knew. You don't stay that calm unless you're expecting it. The file was never meant to be seen like this." Others pushed back just as aggressively. No verified source. This is misinformation spreading in real time. Everyone is reacting to rumors, not facts. But facts didn't matter anymore. Because emotion had taken over. Debates turned into arguments. Arguments turned into full-blown digital battles. Entire threads were dedicated to analyzing Tommaso's expression frame by frame, second by second. People slowed down footage, zoomed into reactions, pointing out every blink, every movement, every moment where someone in the room looked even slightly off. And then the industry responded. Journalists who had initially stayed cautious began speaking out, not with confirmations, but with concern. One well-known reporter posted, "I've covered high-profile cases for years. I've never seen a situation escalate like this without explanation." Another insider hinted, "What's happening right now isn't normal. Not the timing. Not the reactions. Not the silence." Even public figures started weighing in. Some called it a controlled narrative. Others labeled it a complete breakdown of process. And then came the most controversial take of all. This isn't just a legal situation anymore. This is damage control. That single phrase changed everything. Because now the conversation wasn't just about Tommaso Cioni. It was about the system itself. What was being shown? What was being hidden? And more importantly, who was in control? Meanwhile, traditional news outlets struggled to keep up. Reports were cautious, carefully worded, avoiding direct claims. But even in that restraint, one thing was clear. No one had a complete picture. And that uncertainty? It fueled everything. Because when people don't get answers, they create their own. And in this case, those narratives were spreading faster than anyone could contain. Some believed Tommaso was being set up. Others believed he was steps ahead of everyone else. But no matter which side people chose, one question kept coming back again and again. If this was all just a misunderstanding, then why did it feel so controlled? Just when it felt like the situation couldn't spiral any further. It did. Because while everyone was focused on the chaos outside, the leaks, the debates, the rising tension, something else was happening quietly, behind closed doors. And almost no one noticed it at first. When the courtroom was expected to resume, something was off. Tommaso Cioni wasn't there. At first, people dismissed it. Procedural movement. A standard delay. Maybe a private consultation with his legal team. Nothing unusual. But that explanation didn't last. Because confusion started spreading inside the building itself. Legal teams were seen moving quickly between rooms. Doors opening and closing. Conversations happening in low, urgent tones. Security presence increased again, this time noticeably. And then came the update that changed everything. Not officially announced. Not publicly confirmed. But leaked just enough to be impossible to ignore. Part of the case had been temporarily sealed again. Pending verification. Verification. That single word hit harder than anything before it. Because it suggested something no one had openly admitted yet. That what had been presented inside that courtroom might not be fully trusted. And if that was true, then every reaction, every objection, every moment of tension suddenly meant something completely different. It meant uncertainty. And uncertainty is where everything falls apart. But then came the final piece, the one that turned speculation into something far more dangerous. Another leak. This time, more specific. More targeted. It claimed that the sealed file everyone had been reacting to wasn't complete. According to the message, there was an additional attachment, separate, undisclosed, and never presented during the hearing. Not referenced. Not acknowledged. Hidden. And what it supposedly contained. Information that connected this case to something far beyond what anyone had imagined. No proof, no confirmation, just a claim. But in a situation already filled with tension, that was enough. Because now the narrative shifted one last time. This wasn't just about what people had seen. It was about what they hadn't. What was still missing? What hadn't been revealed yet? And why? As the courthouse remained locked in uncertainty and the outside world continued to spiral, one detail stood out more than anything else. Tommaso Cioni still hadn't said a single word. No statement. No denial. No explanation. Just silence. And in that silence, a question kept growing louder. Was this a case falling apart in real time? Or a story unfolding exactly the way it was meant to? Because if even a fraction of these claims are true, then what happened in that courtroom wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. And now, after everything that happened inside that courtroom, one thing is still completely unclear. The silence from Tommaso Cioni. No statements. No clarification. No denial. Nothing. And in a case like this, silence doesn't close the story. It opens it even wider. Because when a sealed file changes the atmosphere of an entire courtroom, when reactions don't match expectations, when leaks start spreading faster than official updates, you have to ask yourself one thing. What part of the story are we actually seeing, and what part is still hidden? Some people believe this was a controlled situation from the start, carefully timed, carefully revealed, and carefully restricted. Others believe something went wrong behind the scenes, and what we're seeing now is only fragments of a much larger breakdown. But the truth is, no one has a full answer yet. And that's exactly why this case is still developing. So now the question goes to you. Do you think Tommaso Cioni knew exactly what was inside that file before it was opened? Or was he reacting to something even he didn't expect? And if there really are multiple versions of that document floating around, which one do you think is real? Or more importantly, are any of them complete? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is the part where the discussion gets even more intense. Every theory matters right now. Every detail people noticed might connect to something bigger. And don't forget, this story is far from over. Because situations like this don't just end with a silence in a courtroom. They continue. They evolve. They resurface. So if you want to stay updated on every new twist, every leaked detail, and every development that comes next, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because the next update might not just add to the story. It might completely change it.